Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's edition of the CPG Masterclass series. Thank you all for attending. We all really appreciate your support, and we hope you have a good listen to this webinar today with Ian. Just before we get started, just to go through, as usual, the few technical elements with the webinar. If you could just make sure all your microphones are muted. You're more than welcome to keep your videos on if you want to. That's fine. Just make sure your microphones are muted. We'll be recording the webinar, and that will be uploaded onto the CPG Masterclass series hub page after the conclusion of today, and also will be published onto our YouTube channel. So any sharing and involvement with that would be great. At the end, we will make time for a short Q&A with Ian. So what I'd ask you to do, if you do have any questions that pop up during the webinar, just post them into the chat in the bottom of your screen, and I will go through them at the end, asking, and we'll get through as many as we can for you. So without further ado, I'll just introduce you to Ian. He's a CPG Development Team member and a regular in terms of the webinar environment, I'm sure. So he'll be a great addition to today. And he's going to be speaking on your professional why, identifying it and achieving it. So without further ado, I'll pass you on to Ian to introduce himself.
Thank you, Tom. Hi, folks. Welcome to this webinar this afternoon. Tom, you want to relieve the people of my ugly face? There we go, perfect. And so here we are. Great that you're on board this afternoon. And this is our presentation, my presentation today, your professional why, how to identify it and achieve it. And part one with a two-part show, second part's on the 11th of May. And let's get into this presentation for you. So what we're really talking about this afternoon, very much you as a professional and individual. And things are difficult at the moment, I know. I don't live in the ivory towers of false security. So the situation today we're looking at is, what is your why, your ideal why, or the best possible why as a professional and individual? And that is bearing in mind the coronavirus that we're all being impacted by at the moment. So this is our basis today, and we'll talk about more just in a second. Before we start, I should thank my colleague Stephen Orr. Many of you know Stephen and I have discussed this kind of stuff for a number of years, and he's helped me with a lot of this information going back 4 or 5 years. So what's the point of the why? And what does the why really mean? If we go back to Steve Jobs, the late Steve Jobs, he said your why gives you purpose. Whether you're a golf professional, a non-golf professional, your why gives you purpose. And he said your work is going to fill a large part of your life. And the only way to be truly satisfied is to do what you believe is great work. And the only way to do great work is to love what you do. Now, for most of us, that's obvious within golf. But given time, our why will change. So I've been in the golf industry for 32 years, and my why has certainly moved in the last 5 or 6 years. As my experience has grown, I've looked for new challenges. So that's our why. What's it about? It's about purpose in our day-to-day work. And choosing that purpose is about us. It's about you. No one can tell us or tell me or tell you what your why, how your purpose should look. And as I said, our purpose, our why will change given time, given a change in life circumstances. So I think we need to give us our life our why some life context. And again, the great Steve Jobs talked there about when they started Apple. He said, we're 20, nothing to lose, no families, no children, no houses. Now I'm 51, and I have a family, a children, a house, and a mortgage, and bills to pay. So my why, my purpose, is always balanced by how does my lifestyle look? How can I manage my why with my lifestyle, with looking after my children, being a good father, being a good husband, paying the bills? So having a why isn't some crazy dream. It's really about focusing our goals on What is the best case that we can achieve given our circumstances? What's around us? And this is where it gets interesting. I know Tom's going to give our this presentation to you. It'll be recorded. So what's the big five to knowing your why? Your why is your passion. And your passion may be your work, or hopefully it's your work, but it'll also move into your free time. It's not that we need to take our work home with us, but we may choose to do because we're kind of in love with what we're doing. And these are the big five questions for us in identifying your why. And now that we all have time with the coronavirus, it may be you find a new why. So number one, to knowing your why, knowing your purpose as a professional. What is near to hand in your non-work time? What books do you read? What online searches do you go on? What podcasts do you listen to? And in social media, who are the people that you're always looking to follow professionally? So there's a big start point there to identifying your why. What is near at hand in your free time? What are you reading about? Who are you following? What are you listening to? The second one, to identifying your why, what are you doing when you lose track of time? What takes your concentration? What fills your mind that you no longer have track of time when you're involved with that job, that concept? The third one, what or whom inspires you most? What do you love to learn about most? As part of my why, I stopped watching swing seminars probably 5 or 6 years ago. I'm still a golf coach, but I felt with the technical side of the game I'd gone as far as I wanted to. So my why moved more away from the swing technique, more towards the psychology, the sociology of the game, understanding how people learn, skill acquisition. And last but not least, what are you doing when you're at your best during work? So those 5 factors give us a pretty good indication to point us towards our why professionally, our purpose. Do you actually love doing the repairs or the business side rather than coaching? Is coaching your thing? Do you love managing deals? Is that your thing? So those 5 there are our start point going towards webinar 2 to identifying your why come the end of the coronavirus. Maybe you identified it already. So it's nice to know your why. But we need to take action, don't we? Just thinking positively about it's no good. That won't get us forward. That's daydreaming. That's fantasy stuff. So if I've identified my why, let's see those big 5 give me a good start. Then I'm looking to take action. I'm looking to create a plan to help me to get towards my why, to create my purpose, to allow my purpose to happen. So what is performance, especially during these times? So if I create a plan and I'm based at home, what is performance about? So with my plan to get me towards my why, we're talking about the daily work processes we go through. So every day within this crisis, every day we're at home, every day we maybe can't work, I'm working towards my why. So I'm performing every day, I'm doing things to get things done to help me towards achieving my why. I'm performing, I'm completing the daily tasks. And now we come to the meat on the bone. So So if I'm going to complete tasks every day, our kind of life, our existence, our work, or working towards achieving our goals, there's really three factors always involved. And these three factors are biology, which is a physical fitness, our psychology, how we see ourselves, and our social world, what's around us. Obviously today we're in a webinar because of the situation. You can still have a social contact that way. So if I have a why, these three factors will be involved in me reaching my why. These three factors will be involved in my plan, my master plan, or your master plan. So what we're really talking about, this kind of circle, that circle is what we call the biopsychosocial model. It's our life map. And it normally looks like this. It's never perfect. Ideally, all the pieces would be together. Because if all the pieces come together, if all we're working well, we're in good physical shape, we're feeling good, our friends are well, things are working with the family. When those three factors come together, our performance is optimized. You see, the three pieces tend to impact on one another, not three separate parts of the jigsaw. They kind of need to fit together as well as possible. They need to fit together to allow us to reach our why. In a normal situation, there's always something on the go. At the moment, let's say our biology is impacted. We can't physically go and give golf lessons because golf courses are closed. We're separated from our friends because of the social distancing. We may feel a bit lonely and kind of lacking support psychologically. That's at the moment. We may have an aspect of that when there's no coronavirus. So blues are biology. Talk about health, our fitness, our diet, our movements. Greens are psychology. Who am I? What can I do? What can I achieve? And the third part, which matches in there, is our social world. How's the world around me and how's it impacting on me? So if I identify my why, what's my professional goal? To reach my why, I'm going to look at these three aspects: my physical aspects, my thinking processes, and also the social world around me. And just so that we're clear, with these kind of models that we have, this kind of life picture that we have, no one's broken, and we all have challenges. So we see the left hand is fairly normal, especially at the moment. It's challenging, there's tough stuff going on. And what we're looking towards is to bring those three pieces as close together as possible to optimize our performance, doing our daily deeds, to allow us to achieve our why, our purpose, our new goal, our new career goal, our family goal. So let's put this into perspective and go, nice theory, but how, explain more to me, tell me how it looks. So I'd like to give you one example of myself that I went through last year to kind of, we say, put meat on the bone. So my why is to be the best performance coach I can be for my clients. That's what I get up for in the morning. If I'm listening to podcasts about performance, psychology, sociology, fitness, how do they work together? If I'm chatting to my wife, it's how are things at home? What are we doing together? What could we improve with our kids? How can we improve with each other? So my why, my choice at this stage of my career is to be the best performance coach I can be for my clients. Let me take back the situation last year. So back in April 2019, I had reached the grand scale of 100 kilos. That was my weight. And I didn't feel good about myself. I was feeling heavy and slow and really not feeling too good about myself. Stopped buying clothes, yeah? So for the first time in 15 years, I lost weight and I got fit. I lost 12 kilos, which I've managed to keep away from my tummy. How did I do it? What was my plan? My biological plan? Improved my diet and started jogging 4 or 5 times a week. When I started jogging, I started to listen to podcasts, which I hadn't done in the past because I thought I didn't have time, and they sparked new learning, new thoughts. How was I doing things? What could I improve as a performance coach? So it started off working on my weight, my biology, and then all of a sudden, oh, this is a psychological aspect. Listening to the podcasts gave me new thoughts, new ideas. How could I improve my business? What could I do better? And now, a year later, I do feel better about myself. I'm more patient with my family, and I think I'm better with my clients because I've got more energy. I'm more patient. And that situation for me, to summarize that was pretty much an 8-month process. That was a biopsychosocial challenge for me. Biology, I had to lose weight. Psychologically, I felt better when I started to lose weight. Listening to podcasts challenged me. And the social aspect, I feel I'm a better dad and a better husband because I'm more patient. And one practical experience I went through last year, I tried to take myself away from the coach and be the client. So, for those of you kind of with me on this journey, and you'd like to come back for part 2, I've got a little bit of homework for you if you're interested, just to help you. Given our current circumstances, question for you would be, what is your professional why at the end of this coronavirus tunnel? Your why, we know, go back to the 5 questions we had before. Or what would be your best version of your why? Things are changing, things are challenging. Maybe your job won't be there as it was in the past. But what could be the best version of your professional why? And to help you towards that why, think of those 5 questions we posed before. To get towards your why, given these tough circumstances, and I know they're difficult, how can you optimize your biology? How can you optimize your body? What can you do with your fitness, your health, and your diet to move towards your why? There's over 30 years of research that says when we get fitter physically, we also feel better mentally. So what could we do, given these times, to possibly improve our fitness, to feel psychologically better, to help us towards your goal, your why? Psychologically, what are you planning at the moment to move towards your why? Could this be the time for a career change or a sideways move? The lady said before, a goal without a plan is just a wish. So what are you doing psychologically? There's some great further education, online webinars, but what are you doing after the webinar? That's why we've got part 2 on the 11th of May, and hopefully some time between that with you and myself for me to support you if you like. And last but not least, again, we're communicating today online, how you connect with your social world to move you towards your why? Have you connected with your role models or those who are kind of in that sphere where you'd like to work? Everyone's got time now. So we're looking for those kind of three aspects. Your biology, could I get fitter? What can I do? Your psychology, what am I doing? I'm watching all these webinars, but what happens after I stop listening to the webinar? What action do I take? Because just watching the webinar isn't enough to move you towards your why. You've got to take action. If you've identified your why through those big 5 questions we talked about before. And last but not least, in connection with that, your social world. How are we swapping ideas? Is it a WhatsApp group? Is it a private Facebook group? Who are you kind of connecting with to help you to go forward? And there's never been a better time to connect to people beyond your circle, because everyone seems to have time at the moment. Everyone's indoors. So I do this a lot, believe it or not. And I do understand identifying your why and creating a plan to move towards it could be challenging. Life's not easy. And that's why I'm here to help you. If you're interested, we can connect between this webinar and part 2. Send me a mail at that address. I'd be happy to help you regarding your professional why and your plan to get towards your why, given the circumstances that we have. Thank you. That was it for part 1. For those of you that would like to join again, see you on the 11th of May and hopefully speak to you between now and then.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Ian. We'll open it up to some quick questions for anybody who's interested. So if you do have some questions, please post them in the chat at the bottom. There's a chat option, just press that and type it in. I'll start things off, Ian, if that's okay.
Let me put my camera back on, Tom.
Yep, sure.
There we go.
Excellent.
Yes.
Just a couple of questions from me, first of all.
Sure.
What are sort of common whys or motivations have you come across? Is there some very, very common themes amongst PJ professionals that motivates them?
The passion. I mean, that's number one. Let's say within the PG professional, there are, let's say, 15 different roles, hypothetically. And it's for no one else to say which role you or I should fill. So it's really your passion. That's it. You ask yourself, what really ticks my boxes? Is it coaching juniors? Is it coaching seniors? Is it doing deals on clubs? Is it golf course maintenance? Is it social media? Is it online coaching? Is it organizing webinars? So no one can tell anyone what their why or purpose is. I've spoken to a group recently. I started last year when I was 50 years old. I started working with mentally impaired adults, which I'd planned to do. Absolutely love it. I couldn't have imagined doing that 10 years ago. So your why will move, your why will shift. But it is for the individual to identify what ticks my boxes. Yeah.
Excellent.
And typically within that, I would say there's probably, I don't know, somewhere between 50 and 30 possibilities that tick coaches' boxes or tick PG professionals' boxes. And the box ticking will change. We see coaches go into management. We see managers go back to coaching. We see coaches become caddies. We see caddies become golf coaches. We see golf coaches become performance coaches or go to university and become lecturers. It's what is right for that person. What is that gut feeling,
Yeah.
I'm going to go back to the big 5 questions. Yeah, carry on, sir.
Okay, so a couple of questions that probably tie in both together from David Bosa and Hanny.
Yes.
So with the current situation that we're in at the moment, there's obviously a clear obstacle in our social I guess, area of the BSP model. So what sort of actions or things can you do to help keep yourself motivated, keep that those pieces tied together when obstacles are in your way?
Fantastic. I mean, number one, I hope everyone's using Zoom every day. I've got my WhatsApp group with 14 colleagues, I think, and we're communicating a lot now. Again, all people with similar why, similar passions. So number one, communicate as much as you can with your circle and go beyond your circle. Send that email to someone that you think will never answer, and they maybe answer now. So yeah, happy to help you, happy to have a chat. So we are socially distanced, but I say there's never been a better time. I've interviewed some people the last few weeks for my PhD. I couldn't have imagined reaching professional golfers, top of the game, world leaders. They just had time and said, yeah, okay, I'll give you an interview. So number one, use online as much as you can. Go out of your comfort zone and reach out to those people that you thought in the past maybe wouldn't be interested. Now they may have time. Number two is identify your why as quick as you can. So I've brought up the slides again there, the 5 big questions. Yeah. And this is again, is part of the, I think, hopefully I'm trying to help as many people as possible, is our interaction between now and webinar 2. That's not just lip service. I mean that. Put your little plan together. What could your why be? How do you think you could move towards that? Send me as an email and you'll get an answer from me within 24 hours about how I see it and how I could possibly help you. You can help yourself. So the number one to keep your chin up, as I say, is identify your why. What is my passion? Maybe these 6, 8, 12 weeks are showing me, bloody hell, I've been going down the wrong route. I've just been counting the money, counting the days. What could I transfer into at the end of this tunnel? Maybe it's not possible. And in the real world, it's between the structure and what I will. I'd love to achieve things, but some things I can't do. But again, to answer your question, hopefully succinctly, what is your why? Identify it. And how is my plan to get to my why at the end of this coronavirus tunnel? And that has 3 aspects. Do I need to do something with my fitness, my biology? Am I fit and strong enough? What's my plan psychologically? And who can I use around me to help me get there? No one makes it on their own, Tom. No one. Everyone who's ever made it has support. And I've got support again from maybe 15, 17 colleagues I can draw on. And I hope everyone could get to that situation. Yeah.
Okay. Another question, any podcast recommendations that in relation to this from Henry Byrne?
Hi, Henry. I like the Sports Psychologist with Dan Abrahams, the Sports Psych Show. Earn Your Edge with Cameron McCormick I like. And I think Carl Morris has some good guests, especially at the moment. So Carl Morris, Earn Your Edge with Cameron McCormick and Corey Lundberg, and the Sports Psych Show with Dan Abrahams. I like, they're the 3 that I tend to listen to when I'm out running. Similar concepts. And Carl at the moment had Gabriele Oettinger on this morning, a German lady, German psychology professor, excellent. And her husband called Peter Gollwitzer, excellent, for really simplifying, similar to this, what I'm talking about, just on the psychological aspect, whereas I see it kind of 3 ways. How's my social field, my thinking, and also my fitness, as I can do given the circumstances we have. I know it's not easy.
Okay, great. Let's have a look. We've got what will people asking for the names of the podcasts. What I'll do is, for those who want to know, I will if you email me directly, and I will forward you on to Ian to be able to answer some of those, if that's okay.
Yeah, great.
So what question from Jose, how would you deal with the stress of knowing your why, knowing your path, but unfortunately not being able to practice to improve these psychological aspects until, for example, golf courses open back up? I guess this refers a little bit to a question earlier on, when you've got not much control over the aspects at the moment.
Yeah, it is tough. I mean, plan what's going to happen when I can do it again. It is tough. I mean, none of us have been through this before. This is tough. But again, it's to plan, okay, when the golf course reopens, what can I do? What am I working towards? What's going to happen? And then have some time to switch off and think, what am I going to do now? And that may be the time for do some fitness, some gym work, to listen to a podcast, to write some reflective notes. So you can also kind of make compartments in your life. So this is my working time. I'm working on my why. I'm planning towards getting to my why after the coronavirus is finished. And now I'm finished at 4 o'clock and I'm going to do something else for me. I'm going to write some letters. I'm going to listen to some music. I'm going to switch off. I'm going to listen to a podcast. I'm going to phone whoever it's going to be. But certainly have switch off and switch on times as well. It can't be 24/7. It's like, no longer listen to the news all the time, because it's like, oh, I've had enough. Switch off and do something else.
Okay, great. I have another question. Say, for example, a professional, following today wants to go and identify the why. They find it. They've created an action plan. They've got points. Would you recommend having that stored away mentally, or do you think it's an idea practically to write that down? Maybe posters, etc. What practical points could you do?
Yeah, we'll talk about more in webinar 2.
Okay.
But write it down. Big old A4 bit of paper. Put it somewhere that's in your face all the time. I've got mine in my office. And so write it down. And it may change. Again, the planning may need to change. But it's getting a start. I can't remember who it said the big challenge to reaching your goals is getting started. And I live in the normal world. I get all the stuff, but it's getting started. What can I start with? I start with identifying my why. How is it going to look? And then I have my plan to get there. And that plan is the 3 parts. My physical part may be less important now for most of my colleagues. Yeah. But then my planning and who's going to help me get there. Reach out to other people. Don't try and do it on your own. No one makes it on their own. It's a lonely journey. If you do, no one's there to kind of be joyful with you when you get there. So reach out to people you know and new people. It's a perfect time for it. But write it down on a big bit of paper and somewhere you need to see it every day. You can drink your coffee and look at it. Think, okay, I'm going to phone Ian Peak. I'm going to phone whoever. I'm going to send an email to someone else. And stay active. It's a tough time. It's a horrible time. But those that adapt, and that's what I think we're all doing. We've seen it already with social media, with the Zoom usage per day. We are adapting and we'll get through it. Those that adapt will get through it. And probably needs to be stronger at the other side than they were before, because they've proven to themselves, we've known what we can do when the shit hits the fan.
Okay, great. And then I think we've got time for 2 more questions. We've got one here, and then so if anybody else wants to get in last, please do post something. We've got one from Manuel. Ian, what's the key learning you took from coaching golfers that you apply to executives and vice versa? So what you learned from coaching executives that you apply into your golf coaching? Now, I assume by executives, it perhaps means PGAs or industry experts, that sort of stuff.
Yeah, sure. Planning, goal setting, like we're talking about, getting it done. That's it. Successful golfers, in my experience, successful businessmen, CEOs, have a vision. They know their why. They have a plan to get there. They employ good people. They maybe need to move their plan as they get along, and they reach the goals. So that's it. So there's nothing new, but without doubt, the similarities between the best golfers I've worked with, I've been lucky enough to learn from, and the best, most successful CEOs or business people, achievers generally, people that have got what they want, had a vision, they knew their why, had a plan to get there, and that plan involved physical work, planning, and a good social feel. And I can't stress enough, let's not do this on our own. That's why we're here today. Reach out to those that could help you and ask for assistance. And there's a lot of people really willing to help others at the moment.
Excellent. Do you want to tie things off quickly, Ian, from your end in terms of part 2?
No, I'm in no hurry. I'll take questions as long as colleagues want to.
Looks like we haven't got any more. What I'll suggest is, if people do have any further questions, drop me an email at tb@cpg.golf and I'll
Yeah.
forward those on to Ian. And as Ian said, if you do have anything else to identify your why, etc., please do drop Ian an email, and I'm here as well.
Yeah. Just say to wrap up, Tom, look forward to hearing from the colleagues, as many as want to get in touch with their why, with a bit of a plan how to get there, and I'll support them as much as I can until webinar 2, which is on the 11th of May.
Excellent. Ian, your email is...
It's there on the screen. I'll bring it up again. It's coming. You see it there, Tom?
Yep. mail@nms-golf.com.
Exactly, sir.
Perfect. So for anybody who's interested in wanting to come to the second one, that is on the 11th of May. You've obviously got some homework from Ian if you want to get engaged with between now and then. So hopefully we'll see you then. Also, the next webinar is on Tuesday, the 21st, with Dr. Brian Hemmings, focusing on psychology and what's in your coaching toolbox. We also have 2 more next week on the 22nd with Dr. Sue Shabcott, and on the 24th with Jose Vicente Perez. So hopefully we'll see you all then. Thank you all so much for coming, and thank you to you, Ian, as well.
Pleasure. Hope to hear from you guys. All the best.